Hey Thomas, you have presented us so many versions of the Volkswagen Tiguan, but they were all so expensive. R-Line, Highline and so on, all the top specs and so on. Can you also show us a lower trim version, a one that I can also afford? Yes, of course. Today the Volkswagen Tiguan in this all new generation in the Comfortline trim level. It's a middle trim level, not all options specced with this car. And that's what I like most, to present you also cars that are not top specced. That's what manufacturers usually do to show off what they have. Today we got one that does not have all of the options. Even more interesting for you, because here in Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas, we tell you everything about the exterior, interior and the driving experience with this car with the entry petrol engine, 125 horsepower. Just is it enough? And can you get an affordable Volkswagen Tiguan? We will find out in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! So today our color scheme is Caribbean blue, and yeah, I mean the typical Thomas blue, as we call it here in Autogefühl, is a little bit darker maybe, but that's for sure also my favorite color for the Volkswagen Tiguan. It's so bright, always reminds me, you know, going to Curacao or so and looking at the sea, and this really called Caribbean blue is really the proper name for that one, and I just love it. Do you as well? Put me your opinion in the comments. So well, it's not possible to get a naked Tiguan from Volkswagen fleet, so we do have some options here, and I will explain you what those are, because I have already seen some customer cars which have a black horizontal fin here, and I wonder, why is that the case? And actually what's interesting, you always get the horizontal layout that also leads over to those headlights, but if you pick the highest headlights that are possible, also here in the trim, that's one option, the biggest headlights trim level, then you also get this horizontal fin in chrome, which looks way better. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a good decision to put that one, to the headlights in a sense of combining it on the product level, because I would maybe like to, I just go with the basic headlights, but I want that second horizontal fin because it makes the front grille look so much better. It will still look good if you don't have it, but here definitely looks better with the top headlights, or what do you think? And also a sporty comp grille structure in the lower part. Overall a very clean horizontal layout and very beautiful, I think. 4 meters 48 or 14'7" is the total length of this compact Tiguan. You might have seen our recent coverage of the Tiguan Allspace. The Allspace with the one where you can optionally also get 7 seats in Europe and also in the US, so both optional, but the European version will be this basically, then you can top it up to the Allspace. In the US, the Tiguan Allspace will be the basis Tiguan. So this one here again, 4 meters 48 or 14'7", the Tiguan Allspace, then will be 4 meters 70, so this is a little longer, or 15'4". That's the basic difference, but everything else we tell you really counts for both versions, and we also drive the Allspace later this year. Here always horizontal lines, first one in the height of the door handles. Here the play with see light, shadow, light, very beautiful, also with a chrome contrast right here. It's a clean design, but it also has some dramatic effects because they stenced those steel stuff really deeply in, contrasting chrome roof rail, and I would exactly pick it as it is here right now. The rim size is also really enough. The Tiguan starts with 17-inch, those ones here optional 18-inch, and I think it's really okay, look beautiful. Winter tires of course look a little bit bigger, with summer tires it will even look sportier. 3D scheme for those tail lights, look a little bit tech-alike. In general, a very conservative rear. Could also be a Volkswagen Golf that is put a little bit higher, and technology-wise, they both sit on this MQB platform, the famous modularer Querbaukasten, as we say in Germany. And so the same platform for the most compact cars in the Volkswagen Corporation. Therefore, they also think, oh, let's just make it look alike. But you also see you don't lose too much height in the trunk. Then we will experience that later. And in the lower part, well, no, just practical stuff. The R-Line looks, of course, different. You can check out this review as well if you want to spend some more money on the Tiguan. Standard Volkswagen key to get inside, solid door handles and closing sound. And on the inside of the doors you can see you can very well fit bottles right there, also for big bottles. And then cloth inside here, and very beautiful this brushed aluminum. By the way, it's just a little bit. Is it even real aluminum? I'm not even sure, but it looks really well. And here also a little bit softened plastic, so very highly processed, although it's not official premium car, but it has definitely premium quality. Here soon more to the digital screen, the active info display. More interesting, we got a bright interior here. I love that, especially in combination to the blue. And you see those ones here, fabric seats with different fabric, middle and outside, and also contrast stitching. You can see this is a way you can create premium seats without using animal skin. It's one of the best examples here, especially in the middle trim levels of the Tiguan. You could also get Alcantara, by the way, if you like, as an alternative. So really well done. And you already see you have a lot of space on those seats. Let's get inside. Of course, easy entry as the car sits high as an SUV, upright seating position, very comfortable, and those seats really offer you a lot of room also for tall drivers. It's one of the most comfortable seats overall, I have to say. A lot of headroom, especially if you don't have the panoramic roof mounted. I'm 1.86 m or 6'1", so that leaves room even for way taller people. You can also adjust the steering wheel towards you, pushing it back, up and down. And well, this one here, there are also the electric seats available, but you know, with this car we want to save some money. Also print your middle trim, and well, it's perfectly fine just doing everything manual. And especially on the co-driver side, this has a big advantage. I will show you soon what I mean by that. The active info display, digital cockpit, is optional. You could also leave this option out to save some money. You see here you can imitate an analog display, but you can also switch around. For example, have some GPS information right in here. Also when the GPS is running, it can show you some stuff, off-road information. And then you can also switch completely, for example, to audio information, radio, phone, status of the car, driving data, or the digital speedometer in the middle, assistance systems, or also GPS stuff. So you are flexible with the digital cockpit, but you could also live with the analog gauges. And if you push this button here, then the head-up display flips out, and it's not really projected into the windscreen. You see it's a separate plastic layer. It's not the most premium solution, but it already helps you to keep your side upwards, and you can also adjust the height. It looks smaller on camera, by the way, than it is in real life when you look at the head-up display. Again, just optional. Cockpit overview. Elegant, beautiful, high class. You can really sum it up. High quality materials. The plastic is a little bit softened up. Some more additional storage space here and there. Glove box can be cooled as well here. And those aluminum strips, again used. I think a sporty and elegant look for sure. Yes, you could also go with a smaller infotainment system, but Volkswagen always gives us the biggest infotainment screen, and I can understand it because some journalists that don't really read the price list of configurators of the car then just say, when they get a small infotainment screen, oh, this car just has a small infotainment screen, it's bad. And don't say, optionally you can get a bigger one. And so they just give all the cars with the biggest infotainment screen that everyone says, hey, it's a big infotainment screen. But we can tell you, there are also cheaper ones available that also do the job. This one here, of course, the most beautiful one. And so far, soon this one will also be updated to the new 9.2-inch screen that we've seen in the Golf facelift review, or also in the Skoda Octavia. This one here, also with the proximity sensor. So far, the biggest one you can get, but again, soon, I think, not only with the facelift or with the next model year change, the Tiguan will already receive the bigger one. And the Tiguan Allspace, by the way, the first time they've shown that one also in there, so pretty soon you can also get that one, and more details to that very soon. Steering wheel here again, compact with a little flattened end already. Manual gearbox, 6-speed, very smooth to shift. More to that when we drive the car. The temperature control sits low here, easy to control, and that's one thing about the Tiguan. Left side, controlling the mirrors. You can find everything. Sorry, that was me pressing the clutch. The car moved a little bit, didn't it? Scroll back, that was so spectacular. Yeah, this is the thing about the Tiguan. You find everything immediately, so you know where what is. It's an easy setup. You don't get confused by many buttons. Some storage space in the middle here, and also the side is for the co-driver very good. You can store the mobile phone, then for example get the cable and connect right there to the USB ports. Talking about the co-driver seat, I can show you the real advantage of the manual setup. You can flip that one here totally down. And if you then flip the rear seats, you will really have an even loading setup also for very long things. Then solid quality here, really fixedly attached, some more space under the armrest, and it has a good height to really rest your arm on it. Then beverage holders, interesting setup, either with some more space or pressing this button. Wow, magic. And they are also adaptive for different bottle sizes. Then here, for example, the DCC. Sometimes you can forget if it's a real DCC or if it's just standard suspension, because the standard one is already good. But here, this one will be the DCC setup that you can also activate the driving modes. Tell you more about that when we drive the car. Also, it can activate the parking sensor and stuff, and start, stop engine, electric park brake. And in the front, there you have the USB supply. There could be a second one, I think, that would be better. Other than that, 12-volt power supply. But here, maybe a second USB supply with the next model year change. Volkswagen engineers do that. Why not? Then the infotainment stream here again, proximity sensor, that you have those buttons here, other than that, fixed buttons here. With a new 9.2 infotainment screen that is coming, check out our Golf facelift review. Then you don't have any buttons left, basically. Just, I think there was like one, or was it none? We have to check that again. I think there were hardly any other buttons left. Here you can still control something. For example, also when you zoom in and out the map, you can do it, for example, with a knob, and not only here, but you can also do it like this. So, and you see the reaction time is really good. And I think this one here is a little bit faster than the all-new system. That is positive about this. Phone, you can connect your phone here via Bluetooth, for example, but also is this App Connect available for Apple CarPlay and stuff. I usually just use the Bluetooth function. It appears easier to me. What about you? And let's get in the rear. Short Tiguan version that is standard in Europe. So, and here already you got basically enough knee room. If you want more knee room, then maybe get rid of those tables. You do not have to pick them. They have been improved in the new generation. They are more stable now. Also have beverage possibilities here on the left side. But again, they cost you some knee room, so if you're not dining in the rear, then probably leave them out. Headroom wise, wow, there's plenty of headroom left here. That's again good result. Also the nice setup here as for the seat surfaces. I got another USB port here, optional also a 3-zone AC available. And what is also a good solution, you can change the angle of the seats if you want to sit more upright or want want to lean back a little bit more, you can change that, so a good solution. And that's, by the way, the same possibility to flip the seats from here. That will also be possible from the rear. That is also possible, so I said. And again, what's the difference between Ateca and the Tiguan? The Tiguan is a little bit longer than the Seat Ateca, and here you can also change the the bench. You can change the bench here, 2/3, 1/3 split. Like here, you can make the trunk a little bit bigger, or you can have more knee room. So a great flexible solution. Isofix covers, by the way, you can remove this plastic cover and then have the fixation right there on both outer seats. You can put them here in place again, and then you also have a ski hatch. And by the way, in the US version, or the so-called all space in Europe, then you, of course, you will have more leg room here in the rear. You can check out the static review already of the all space to compare the cars as well. So, electric hatch here, you can also get the manual one. I could also live with a manual one for sure. Then, very well used, this space we got. Here you can also fit a replacement tire optionally. Then, what's also well, you see, by the way, the two top tethers to fix the child seats. Then you can flip the seats from here. That's a good solution. And here on the left side, you can also electrically put out the towing equipment, and then we can check it out right here, and there it is. And then you can also electrically loosen it up again and store it, so it's a good solution. And well, you see the seats almost fall down completely. Maybe sometimes we have to push this a little bit, and then you can also fix them with the there we go. Now they are fixed, and then you have to release them at the side again, that you can put them up. A look under the hood. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty. I did not do an engine cleaning. Last Autobahn ride made it a little bit dirty. This one here now, the 1.4 liter TSI turbo petrol engine, 125 horsepower, just front wheel drive. Basis one you can get. This one also available is 150 horsepower. And then you can get the 2 liter TSI top with 220 horsepower, or also with 180 horsepower. That would be, for example, what we tested in the R-Line as well. We also tested the big diesel, the new bi-turbo diesel, and the 2 liter TDI, different horsepower variants. Check those ones out in the other reviews. Today about the basis engine. So guys, let's go. Driving with this 1.4 liter TSI, 125 horsepower, the entry petrol engine. A lot of guys have really asked me, is it really enough? Is it okay for you? And we will find out, definitely, with different driving parts, starting with a little Autobahn, then some city, then Autobahn again, and countryside. So we have all the different stuff. And here, of course, it's not a big acceleration, but it's enough to get on the Autobahn, on the motorway, and I mean, for example, third gear, 80 to 100. Plop, that's it. So you see, it does take some time, but now at 100, approximately 100 in fourth gear, there's still something coming as you have this turbo and you can accelerate further. It's not something that you can very fastly overtake, but you can get to speed on the motorway. That's just fine. Manual gearbox here also to save as much money as possible. Then the higher engines you can also optionally equip with DSG and all-wheel drive, and the top engines, they automatically come with the combination DSG and all-wheel drive. Very windy here today. We do hear that the wind is coming, but it's really the wind from the outside again. Look, very stormy again those days. And in general, the sound insulation is really good for that SUV. So, I mean, in general, all of the Volkswagen cars are very well insulated. And, I mean, you really do have to pay attention that you feel difference between, for example, the Seat and the Skoda models. And it seems to be that, you know, a little bit more insulation here and there is one of those little differences that remain between the Volkswagen and Seat and Skoda models. I mean, it's not so many difference than there maybe used to be, but it is maybe something. So very silent and smooth ride. And this is not a sporty version at all here we do have, but you still have, let's say, kind of sporty feeling. This engine, you can push it a little bit due to the turbo and also the support from suspension you get. This is also just a very standard suspension. There is usually would also have a I'm sorry, it is with a DCC, so that's an option. Sorry to correct it. So you can basically go with a standard suspension. I would also recommend that one because it's also comfortable enough. The DCC has the advantage that you can adapt your riding style just a little bit, and well, you don't feel so many differences because, for example, you can go in the comfort mode. That would be the normal street setup when I'm going over some bumps here now. For example, it's get even out very well. It's a really smooth ride. And if you go, for example, to a sport mode, maybe you also heard that now when I'm going over a bump, get a little bit more blop blop. So it's a little bit stiffer, but still very comfortable. So just a subtle change, but then you can make your ride a little bit sportier if you may be in a situation where you have a lot of winding roads or something like that. Again, for a basis Tiguan, the normal suspension will also do just fine. And you can also pick something in between, for example, just for normal. The steering wheel also changes just a little bit, but it's also not a big difference. It's a little bit stiffer maybe in the sport mode. And again, those driving modes, they make more difference if they are combined with DSG transmission, because then the shifting characteristics are also being changed. So that's the main difference then. Here with manual gearbox, I'm pretty happy. Usually I prefer an automatic gearbox just for, when you're stuck in traffic, accelerating up a hill. Generally it's more relaxed and safer also because you can keep your hands at the steering wheel all the time. But here, as it is a very smooth shifting, you can also very well live with the manual gearbox. The steering is pretty light, so you can park in and out the car very good. However, as it has some progressive character, you also don't have to turn the steering wheel that way around. And although being light, you still have a good feeling of control, can control it very well. And we don't have that often. They are sometimes very stiff, sporty steering wheels, and sometimes the steering wheels are very light, but you don't have a good feeling in it, not a natural feeling. Here they managed to get both. Third gear now. Yeah, I mean, for the city, it's perfectly fine with that engine. You won't miss the power. It's really okay. If you're driving fully low, I mean, whole family and then a lot of luggage and stuff, or thinking about the trailer or something, then it starts where you really say you have to go for a bigger engine. But if you want to save money, get a cheap Tiguan, a relatively cheap Tiguan, you can absolutely live with this engine. This is also available with 150 horsepower. Probably I would recommend that to have a little bit more power reserve for some overtaking maneuvers on the Autobahn or so. But if you get a good deal with the entry version, it's just fine. The mirror, by the way, is a split that I can also see what's coming in the blind spot, so that basically works. But of course, it's always great to have also a blind spot monitor. And if you look at the side mirror, the black field you can see there, that would be the spot where the blind spot monitor would be activated. So let's see that we can also activate all of the assistance systems, because you can deactivate, and there it is now. So it was deactivated before, and there you see at the black spot. Oh, come on. Someone else should overtake us, as you can see it again. There's someone coming. I think it's the one of the best assistant systems for sure. There it is. You have got the orange light, and then I know someone is coming from behind. That's really a very useful function. Other assistance systems are equipped in here. The AEB is here already included also, so it will be in the most Tiguans. So I think in Tiguan it was also from standard equipment. In the Golf, for example, it's with the middle trim level, but most guys then also pick at least the middle trim level. And we also got the front assist that includes the AEB. Getting close to Autobahn. Overview, I mean, if you don't have any assistance in it, still very good. Frameless mirror, getting a good view to the rear window. Also the sides, the windows are upright, so you have a very good view there. Another acceleration test here, 80 to 100 in 4th gear now. Let's see how that performs. Plop. There we go. So you see again, not a really sporty performance from the engine, but it's okay to get on speed on the Autobahn, so I'm really perfectly fine with that. Optional, we got the ACC mounted here, so asking me which options I would get. I could live with a smaller infotainment screen, that's okay. I want the Bluetooth connection, which is also available in the middle infotainment screen, for example. I would like the blind spot monitor, I would like the ACC for sure. And the DIN audio system we had in the R line, that was some great sound. So don't have it here, but that could be an option where I would maybe get weak. Digital cockpit you're seeing all the time. You could also leave that out to get the car a little bit cheaper. That would be another option to save some money. But in general, we can really say, I mean, those ones do not change so much, so you can really also live with a lower spec Tiguan and still already have a very good car, that's for sure. So also relaxing ride here on the Autobahn. Again, suspension wise, I mean the sport mode still I didn't even realize because it's still so comfortable. Let's go back to comfort mode again. So good result. ACC keeping the distance to the car in front of me. You can also vary the distance you like with the left knob on the steering wheel, increase the distance or getting closer to the car. But I wouldn't use the minimum distance because sometimes the minimum distance is maybe not in accordance to the regulations by law where you have to keep the distance. So at least like 2 dots and you should be safe. And I mean, having it a little bit further can't be that bad, especially on the Autobahn where you have a little higher speeds. Here again, by the way, even at 100, the car behaves very agile, although it's a base version, and even if you have DCC on normal or in comfort mode. And look at this direct commands from the steering wheel. So the steering wheel really feels sporty, and from the characteristics, if you close your eyes, you wouldn't even realize that it's a high-sitting SUV. And again, also can now prove those ones are among the most comfortable seats in an SUV, so you don't necessarily need a bigger SUV to be more comfortable, because those seats here also for tall people on long Autobahn drives leave you a lot of comfort, and that's also something very important. And you know, our friends in the US, they often have states where there's really more space to move the vehicle around. It doesn't really matter, but you know, if thinking about East Coast states and all the European countries, that really matters that you don't have a car that is actually too big. You know, up the hill, 4th gear car struggling just a little bit, but the turbo still manages to score that. So when you're East Coast, US or Europe, you might think, I don't want my car to be that big, and then you could say, I want a very comfortable SUV, but not a full-size one, not something close to 5 meters, or maybe not something like 60 feet or whatever. Then you can still also go with this compact SUV class. And you know, the Tiguan Allspace that is offered in the US, that was a little bit longer anyway, 4.70 meters, and this one here 20-25 centimeters shorter. So that's also, you know, driving wise I don't expect such a difference, but also at a later stage we will also drive the Tiguan Allspace, so we can really compare that one. So now the countryside driving part begins. The engine itself, by the way, is super silent. You don't hear that much. And if you hear it, if you really turn up the RPM, then it's a subtle sound. Doesn't sound too bad. So I think the main thing is really that the Tiguan is still fun to drive, even when it has a relatively low powered engine. And I'm really saying that just yesterday we were testing the Nissan GT-R, and I mean, that's a step from 570 to 125 horsepower. And so you know that that's really true, that this car is really still fun to drive. By the way, the lane assist is sometimes, I'm deactivating it now, sometimes a little bit annoying me because, you know, it's controlling my steering a little bit. I think there's something in between. I mean, it can make sense in certain situations, but I more preferred, you know, either driving totally myself or absolutely autonomously. And, you know, something in between, I'm not really a fan of that. So either you put yourself to sleep and do your emails or whatever, and then enjoy in future the total autonomous mode, or take the steering wheel yourself. I mean, about the consumption, if you go for smaller engines, it does not necessarily mean that you score a lower consumption, because the small engines have to work a little bit more. The bigger engines, they have more displacement, more horsepower. They consume more if you really push them. But if you're driving, for example, at the same speed, a bigger engine can actually also consume less because it's running at a lower RPM. So we talked about it a couple of times that downsizing not always really makes sense. And that is also something about in general, the Volkswagen petrol engines. I think they consume too much fuel. That is better, with the Japanese manufacturers, definitely. Hey Thomas, you're biased. You're in favor of the Japanese. Some trolls would say now. There's this thing that some trolls say, hey, you're German, so you're always favoring German cars. Yeah. Just forget what the trolls say. You know that in Autogefühl we are always honest with you, and we rate every car fairly. And I have no interest in promoting German cars. We had a separate video to that. So I can really say, look and feel wise, this is really top premium. I mean, hardly anything can match it, especially not in this price segment. But consumption wise, the German manufacturers really have to work a little bit more with that. Or maybe then you have to go for full electric already. Because here, for example, now on this test ride so far, we're about 7.8 liters on 100 kilometers. It will drop down just a little bit, but it's not really little. And especially I had, for example, a lot of Honda engines. Honda engines are really superb when it comes to low consumption. Then again, you really have to admit, if you compare the interiors directly, let's say direct competitor would be a Honda CR-V. If you sit and drive a Honda CR-V and the Volkswagen Tiguan, and then ask people, hey, what's the price of this car? You would easily imagine that this car here is like double or 3 times the price. You don't even have to begin the comparison. So maybe, a Tiguan with a Honda engine, that would be probably a great combination then. Yeah, the engines here are really refined, they're very silent. Also considering sometimes low displacement, they still have a good power output. But sometimes I really would like to wish the consumption would drop down even more. So now it's already dropping just a little bit the longer we drive, because when you start your drive, it's always beginning higher and dropping in the total figures. But all those turbo petrol engines, we hardly had one that scored really low. Just a new one we had recently in the Golf facelift, the 1.5 liter, that was having a little bit more displacement again. This one will then also later come to all of the other MQB mods. So I expect also the Tiguan to receive this 1.5 liter turbo petrol engine. It's the same, basic architecture, same platform, so this engine of course also fits right there. This one should give us even better consumption, something also maybe towards 6 liters could maybe be possible. Tiguan will consume more than a Golf because of the wind resistance and stuff, but we have to see about that. Here we're going to look at the steering wheel, how the car reacts. So, I mean, there's so much really about this car steering wheel. You can really say, again, also driving-wise, it's basically the almost perfect compact SUV for sure. There's always something to find, as for example, consumption could be lower. But when we're driving really slowly, I think I will manage it to get to 7 liters or a little bit below that. I can do that. And as this car is also very comfortable to drive, you're also more relaxed probably. And if you pick the lower engines with a little bit less horsepower, then you might also say, I don't have to rush it that much. I can also just relax. And this car is also relatively light if you compare it with the other bigger engines, and manual drive saves weight. And if you leave out the all-wheel drive, that also saves weight. And you don't really need an all-wheel drive then if you're not in totally snowy conditions. So that's just fine. So I think we can sum up again, a very good result in driving the Volkswagen Tiguan. Consumption could be a little bit lower, and then again, you can really live with 125 horsepower. Now the conclusion. Why you can get a Volkswagen Tiguan basis with 26,000 euros, for example. The all-space will be about 4,000 euros more expensive, but then already starts with a higher engine. The Comfortline trim you can get in Germany 28,000 euros, and price on other markets will often be, let's say, comparable. This car does have some options, so we couldn't get it totally naked, but you get, of course, surely above 30,000 then. But if you think about, an R-Line version, or then with the big engines, the strong 2-liter TSIs, the big TDIs, then combined with DSG and stuff, you easily get above 40,000, get in those 50,000 regions almost. Then this one here is still a good deal, and I think we could prove today that already an entry in basis Tiguan is already a very good SUV. To me, it's probably really among the best compact SUVs there is on the market, and that has nothing to do with having German buyers or whatever, so trolls can spare their comments. This is just a great car, period. Yes, the consumption could be lower, this is maybe one of the weak points, so it's not about really fuel saving if you go for the lower engine, it's about keeping the entry price low if you mainly have a city driving purpose or something like that. If you're driving full throttle anyway and full load and maybe trailer, then go for stronger engines anyway, and that might not really increase your fuel if you have a bit bigger engine then. Exterior, elegant, beautiful looking, strong design lines at the same time. Interior, really refined, very comfortable seats. I do not actually need a bigger or more expensive SUV. I could just easily live with that one. So, and also with this color, probably this car here, maybe I would pick the 150 horsepower engine, or if I want to spend some more money, get the 2-liter TSI. But approximately this car, as it's spec'd here now today, would be also something I would buy for a compact SUV. Of course, I would like to hear your opinion on this car and the spec rated today, and also join our other Tiguan reviews. We had so many other great videos, the R-Line with we had also the big diesel. We had another petrol engine, the 2-liter TSI with the off-road part then, and we also had this snow riding review that was absolutely amazing. You have to check that one out, and remember, all other car channels, they are all fake news. So just watch Autogefühl and also tune in next time. Thank you very much, guys.